Hey, folks. This is a very special episode of the VGB's podcast. I'm recording this on Tuesday, July 1st in the city limits of Arlington, Texas. It's my birthday.
Happy birthday. Yeah, it is
Thanks,
your birthday
Joe.
today. I'm very well aware of that.
You're very well aware of that because I did a little Sneakadoodle myself and tried to get my birthday into one of Joe's new videos.
Yes,
and in our email thread, I said, hey, Joe, you want to talk to me for an hour on a podcast? And he said yes. And if you've watched a single episode of our Twitch show, Wake Up Honey, It's Tuesday, every single Tuesday on twitch.tv/VGBs, you know my guest because we watch his videos constantly. It is the creator of the Joe is Hungry YouTube channel. Joe, thank you so much for giving us your time today.
Not a problem. Not a problem. I was really kind of interested to do this. I don't do podcasts.
You got the setup.
I think I did one interview a couple of years ago from somebody in Japan, and I don't think anybody looked at it. But yeah, I mean, I've got the setup because I had it in my brain that I wanted to do live streams. Yeah. And I've got a Twitch channel that was kind of gifted to me by Will Neff. That's actually an affiliate. And
that's amazing.
And I don't stream on. I mean, there are people who take years to get affiliate status.
Oh my gosh!
On Twitch.
Sure.
So, yeah, and I've got I don't know how many people on there, but I go on there every week or so just because I do. I don't really do the YouTube that much anymore because it was taking too much time out for what I was doing.
Do you feel, just to kind of get into it? I mean, you obviously have a channel that's very YouTube focused with these edited pieces, but you have this Twitch component, live streaming stuff as well. We just talked about it before we jumped on that it's just a lot to try to juggle those two things, to do these live streams and edited videos. Like, that's a ton of work.
Oh yeah. I mean, an edited video, you're talking 2.5 days worth of work for a single 9-minute video.
Yeah.
It's that much.
Yeah, I mean, for a typical, I want to get into some history stuff, but let's stay there for a second. You're producing these kind of 10-minute videos, the editing, which I definitely want to talk to you about editing because it's one of the first things that my community noticed is just like how kind of joyful and buoyant your edits are. These are fast edits, but what the process that you go through from soup to nuts, developing the plan to going to pick up the food and coming back, recording all of that stuff and the edit, like how much time are we talking?
Just the edit when I'm all done shooting and I sit down, anywhere from about 12 to 16 hours. Literally 2.5 days worth of work. Far as it starts off with, I'm just reading through rags and stuff, looking for something new. And then if I pick something and I spend a couple hours getting all the information together on a kind of a scratch sheet, and then I'll write the intro is scripted. The first part where I'm like, this is the Joe is Hungry channel right here within the city limits. But anyway, that is scripted because I have too much information. I can't keep it in my brain.
Totally.
And then once I clap my hands and go to drive-thru, it's semi-ad-lib, pretty much ad-lib. But anyway, and then I'll it probably takes me a couple hours to write my 1-page script for that. Mm-hmm. And then I'll go, this is not the day of shooting. Then I'll go shoot the intro, edit it, annotate it, because I got all the birthday shots I got to work in. That's actually takes like an hour and a half just to put the birthdays in. And if someone's late, I don't know who would be late after I've already shot the intro. Then I have to go back out and shoot that cut, which isn't too hard because I'm using 3 cameras. Yeah. But then I do that. I take that. That takes anywhere from, depending on how well I'm speaking that day, whether I'm stuttering a lot or not, or I can't remember my lines, anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour and a half for it's basically 30 minutes of shooting, and I'll go back and take me 2 or 3 hours to edit it. And then where you put the cat footage in, I can spend 10 minutes or 2 hours trying to find a cat clip. Okay. And there's that. Then there's something else before we get started with the video. There's the title rolls. Where it comes up, Joe is Hungry, all that graphics. Yep. None of those are plugins. Those are all just plain text keyframed. Okay. And I do each one different to a different song every time. I just wanted my videos to be unique. And
that part of it is because I didn't notice that for a long time, that your intro with the fuzzy cat and the way you do the different colors, that is different. It's not the same thing every time, which kind of snuck up on me when I realized it. It was only a few weeks ago. So that's a lot.
One of those text title rolls, hour and a half to 2 hours to make the first 20 seconds. And I've gotten better at it. You can see, you can see 200 videos back. They were kind of blocky.
100%.
And now I do all sorts of little weird keyframe, making everything vibrate and stuff. I think it's kind of cool. But I get all that. I've got that much time put into it before we actually start filming the body of the video. And then the next day, now in the summertime, I'll go do my drive-through shot. I try to get it right about 10 minutes after opening, because it's going to get really hot and you don't want your GoPros to overheat.
Yeah.
And in the wintertime, I usually shoot about 2:30 in the afternoon. And the drive-through shots, I'm there on scene 20 minutes, 25 minutes, tops. And then I go back and I'll spend about 3 hours shooting the body of it, because when you do the down camera and all the angles, when you do your deconstruct your food, that's depending on what it is, can be pretty irritating.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then if it's a negative review, it's even worse. I like to be really careful what I say in the end, and I'm by then I'm getting kind of ticked. It's like when I go to Wendy's and they all know me there, and they give me cold food anyway. Then I'm on fire. That's when you'll see me get a little mad at the end, which I work mad, and then I'll spend probably 7 more hours editing it. And
wow, that's a big undertaking. And you get 2 videos up a week.
Yeah, it's 2 videos. I mean, I could have done another one. I was going to shoot today, but I decided not to, because I wanted to go out, work in the garden, and work on my car. But I plan on shooting Arby's tomorrow, and I don't hold high hopes for it, because Arby's always fails their weight test.
Yeah, they're a little inconsistent.
It worries me. It worries me. It's a cheesesteak sandwich, and the problem is with that is Arby's doesn't have a grill. Okay. Don't ever buy a hamburger at Arby's.
Because they're not grilling them fresh.
Yeah, they're sous vide. They're cooked sous vide. They partially cook them in the vacuum rack, and then you take them out and drop them in the deep fryer.
Oh, and, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. They told me that. I didn't know that either. I was out there prepping to shoot, and the manager was out there smoking a cigarette outside, and we started talking. And I'm like, that's how I found out what they did. But how do they heat that up? It's got to be just microwave. It's got to be.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Wild. No.
Yeah, keep me from going off on tangents, because I'll get going about food, and we'll be here for 3 hours.
All of this is great. No, I want to talk about kind of the origins of the channel and ask, when did you start the actual YouTube account? Was this always the plan? Did you want to do something with food? Because I know you've also, going back to your older videos, you're doing a lot of tinkering with cars and this machinery and all this stuff. And I'm curious, where was the origin of the video of the channel kind of going?
I think it's around in 2018. I had a YouTube account, obviously, and I didn't know that you could change the name and make kind of like a commercial. It was a learning process, but my original channel was called Joe Fixes It, and it's still there. And I still have about 60 videos on there, me working on my cars, and there's still a few holdover videos on the very beginning of the YouTube channel where I put a belt on my X-Mark mower, which was one of my more viral videos, actually.
Yeah. It's weird what takes off.
And I was doing a couple of videos here and there, mostly to do them. I was going to not even going to put them out. I was going to let my brother see me do something. It's like the wood chipper video on my other channel was my first viral video. And it's where I rented a wood chipper and chipped a whole bunch of wood and had a heat stroke. But that was for my brother. But then I put it on there, and it sat there for a year and didn't do anything, and it went crazy. Anyway, the origin of the channel. I like making videos. I like cameras. And I've always liked photography, but never knew how to. Didn't know how to operate my cameras. Just basically auto and click.
Yeah.
And a lot of the first 200 videos were shot in auto, and they looked horrible. I can't look at my old videos. It's just too much. But then when me and my sister got together, she's up in Ohio. She actually proofs all my videos for me for spelling, because I can't spell. I can't even cut and paste successfully. A lot of my annotations are cut and paste off the website to prevent me from misspelling. Anyway,
that's
we decided to make, I've had a few shots of the cat and stuff I was sending back and forth, and we decided she started a YouTube channel, and I was going to start yet another YouTube channel, because food reviews, that looks easy. Because I see all these, there's a gazillion people do them. How hard could that be, right?
Right.
That's not so, but in it morphed. But I wanted to make something that was so much trouble to do, nobody in their right mind would do it. And that's what I've done.
Right. Yeah.
But we decided to make 3 channels. Gardening right now, which she made a bunch of plant videos, and they actually did real well. And then she lost interest in making videos, and the channel went idle, which was really a shame because it would make good residual income. I'll get into that later. And then there's Joe Fixes It, because I was running both of them at the same time. It was too much. I would break my cameras out there. You're trying to set them up under the car, and and you ultimately knock over a camera and do $300 worth of damage on a video you might get. Well, I mean, I wasn't even monetized then. And then we did Joe's Hungry. And then we decided to have an umbrella company to cover it all and called it Fuzzy Cat Productions.
Okay.
So that's why you always see the Fuzzy Cat Productions in there. It's just a holdover. Sure. And I've run polls and stuff, because I was thinking about taking it out, because it's kind of a lot of trouble to put the cat shots in there and go out and chase the cats around with a GoPro on a stick and then make sure their lighting's right and catch them in slow, catch them in super slow motion. That's where they start using GoPro, because they shoot 240. But anyway, that's where all that was kind of the start of it. And then the food videos kind of evolved. It's like when I was biting, you see the bite test at the end, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now when you do a YouTube, if you do YouTube, you look on your analytics page and it tells you you got a bar graph going across where people are clicking on and off, and you want that average rate to be above 50%. Now if you see a big dip when you're doing something, quit doing it, because people think it sucks. Even if you think it's the greatest thing in the world, it ain't.
Totally.
But anyway, I did the bite test, to music a little bit. It's for my brother, because he hates it. He thinks it's gross and weird. So I did it.
I mean, some people really don't like watching other people eat. Like that's
I don't like watching people eat. But I did it, but to gross him out.
Yeah.
And then I looked at my analytics page, and nobody's clicking off of it.
Right.
And they still don't. So it stays there. You try to keep it below 30. So you don't ever want a B-roll to go in around 30 seconds anyway.
Yeah.
But that's how that coming in. I added more things to it, and the temperature test. Now I do 3 as a so you have a good grouping on it. And yeah, there are all sorts of things, like the price per ounce was added late on. That was about 100 or so videos back. That was my wife's idea, because I was weighing burgers, compare them to a Whopper to a McDonald's burger, and like, is this expensive or not? And that really wasn't representative, because you couldn't compare it to pizza, but price per ounce. Yeah. But anyway, a lot of that evolved over time, and it's just been a long process. The way I shoot my videos and how many cameras I have and stuff like that, and cameras.
I would love to know your setup, if you can talk about it, because you've got this cool setup there at your desk. If you can see it, Joe is. I would
show my desk. I would drag the camera around behind me, but
that's all right.
If I pull on that cable, we're going to lose video.
Let's not mess with it. But
you're
there, and then we also know that you've got this car set up. So I'd love to know kind of both, because cars are fully GoPro, I believe, and then you've got the setup there at your office.
I used to put my DSLRs in the car, but they didn't handle dynamic lighting real well, and they're real heavy on the mounts.
Sure.
And then I would have to come in and completely reset all the settings when I bring them in, because that's when I started to learn how to manipulate the cameras, and got them all in manual now. Okay. And so you'd have to go back and forth, and it was a horror show. There are a lot of videos that have the little point and shoots, the G7Xs, but I have 3 cameras that I shoot my talking head spot, like I'm doing right now, and I'm talking into my center camera right now. It's a Canon EOS 90D. Okay. And then the right camera is a SL2. It's a Rebel SL2, which is one of the beginner cameras, and I have an SL3 on that side. And the reason I use 3 cameras is because sometimes I can't remember more than about 12 words at a time. and if you screw up, there's a thing that I really hate to see in videos, and that's when they make cuts while you're talking. Like, that's standard. That's standard. Nobody seems to care, but it irritates the crap out of me.
It's so standard, but it's amazing that your workaround is to change direction, so it's not so. Yeah, I don't like it either. It's a modern convenience thing that I think a lot of creators do, but it annoys the shit out of me. It does when I see it.
I can't stand it.
Yeah.
There's a
That's
lot of
funny.
things. There's like putting your hand up against the lens. That's actually
Right.
the way when I do my clap. I was
Yep.
trying a lot of different transitions, and back before I started making videos, I watched like every Casey Neistat video there was,
Okay.
and it still amazes me the work that he does, because he just shot with a single camera, and you would see
Wow.
like 6 different angles of him picking a can of soup up off the shelf, from behind
Sure.
it. So how many times did he pick that can of soup up? Like at
Right.
least 7 or 8 times.
Uh-huh.
But
That's
yeah, the
wild.
clapping the hands transition is something I've seen nobody copy.
No, and you do it well. You do it on those cuts. It's pretty
Oh
impressive every
yeah,
time. I mean,
I
it's
tried doing Coke cans, open them up, but then I would
uh
get so much Diet Coke that I couldn't drink, and I'd get Coca-Cola all over my lenses. And then you
well,
cleaning the cameras.
I have a very specific question about the Coke, especially with
No,
the
the Diet
slide.
Coke.
The Diet Coke slide when you do it, everyone wants to know, where does that go? Does it hit a wall? Does it like so you just slide, is it empty at that point? Is it full?
No.
Like what
Yes.
it's so what are you doing? You're just sliding a full can of Coke until it hits a wall?
I wish I could move my camera. So I've got a big cardboard thing over there in the corner.
Okay.
That's where I shoot my close-ups.
Sure.
And it usually slides over and stops against it. And with the weight in it, you just got to be smooth when you do it.
Sure. Yeah.
You just got to be smooth and send it like that.
Wow. All right.
You can't, and it
Doing
falls
it
down
live.
sometimes. I've ruined my backdrop a couple of times with splashing Coca-Cola, where I got all excited and like let it go.
That's amazing.
Or I'm doing the spinny table thing at the beginning. I put that in the front of the video. It's like, people, you need to put outtakes at the end of your video. I'm like, it would be longer than the video, believe me. And that's the problem. Then you go back to the algorithm. Once you call the score, cut it off, because you will damage your click rate, your retention rate if you do that. That's why you end your video. You don't put crap at the end like I used to.
Yeah.
I used to have all sorts of weird crap.
Sure.
I did so much weird crap to my videos. It's humiliating to watch. I just pretend they're not there, but I'm not taking them down.
But that's how you learn, right? I mean, you do stuff that feels good, and
it's like 6 years.
Do you feel like you found a good balance of things that still kind of interest and engage you versus the things that you feel like you have to keep doing because of the algorithm?
Yeah, I'm fine. I just so my click rate stays above 50%. It runs about 58 to 60%, depending on the video. I feel like it. I'd like to perfect my video, because my video to me is never quite right,
Okay.
Especially the way I talk.
Okay.
That's interesting. And cuts, going to camera. I mean, that's not so easy. What do you do when you're going to talk to the next one? You forgot your lines. First you look at camera one where you're not talking to it, and turn to this camera and say your piece. And then I always thought, well, then I'll turn to the next one, but I don't know what to say. But when you cut it, it doesn't look right. So basically you're better off, if you don't know what to do, stay at that camera and then go to this camera like that, where and it works. I try to say as much as I can. Like in the beginning when I say Joe is Hungry channel, let's bring it back to the studio for everybody to see, right here within the city limits of, or give it the score it really deserves, right here within the city limits of Fairmount, Georgia, and all that's contiguous.
Okay.
And sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 or 4 attempts, because I got to spin all this stuff and do all that. So if I slip up and stutter once, I'm done. Got to start all over from scratch.
Over. Well, when you're doing your drive-through approach, do you ever make mistakes bad enough that you have to go back and do them again?
Not very often. I used to, yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
sure.
I have. It wasn't that long ago. I was at Little Caesars, and I was, because I'll do my temperature test. Piece number 1 is 190.4 degrees Fahrenheit, and then I always go over and say, if you have been watching my channel any length of time, I like my temperatures at 140 degrees or above. Okay, and then because they pass the Joe, and then I do my thing like, let's look inside, blah 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 blah. Okay, I forgot to do it. I'm driving down the road, like, oh, this is a good
way.
One. And then I'm like, fuck. I drive all the way back, and then set up all the cameras and did it. And another time I completely forgot. This was recently. What I did, because I was like, it was like I couldn't go back. I'm not driving all the way back to Cartersville to do that. I went over to Dollar General, and backed up against the Dollar General across the street. Nobody noticed.
That's
But
amazing. That's
yeah,
really funny.
I got away with that. But
What? So
oh
over
yeah,
the
but
past,
going up, saying like it's the weight, or I've come out before and says, okay, let's pull off to the side and do the Joe is hungry weight test. I've done that, and then had to go back and redo it.
that's incredible. That's really funny. Do you get a lot of? Obviously, you mentioned that Wendy's kind of knows you.
Oh
Do
yeah.
do all the fast food joints in your area kind of know you by now? Is that something that they've
Yeah,
gotten used to?
yes and no. A lot of them do, but the fast food industry, they have such high turnover.
Turnover. Yeah.
And sometimes I'll see somebody like I was at Checkers. I was doing
Hmm.
Checkers for a long time. I'm just don't
Right.
even talk about Checkers. Um, I'm over at McDonald's shooting that last McDonald's video,
Hmm.
and the girl that worked at Checkers is now a manager at the McDonald's.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
it's like the one I just said, the Taco Bell in Calhoun, Georgia. 3 videos back, the kids in the drive-thru came outside and shot selfies with me after the video. Okay, but I go
Okay.
back through this time, and they don't even recognize me. They're just
Sure.
different people. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like, but a lot of times I get recognized quite often. I make it a point not to.
Right.
Because back in the very beginning of the videos, I would, because I would, if you see some of my earlier videos, about 60, 70 videos back, I would have B-roll of me standing in front of the place where I'm doing the
Yes.
cameras and doing signs and stuff. You haven't seen that for a few videos.
Right.
Just trying to streamline this a little bit. But I would do all that prior to rolling the drive-through.
Okay.
And I had to stop that. It wasn't, I sneak up on them, not because I want to catch them off guard, but it's to mitigate drama.
Yeah.
Um,
Makes
a lot of
sense.
times they're friendly.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're not. I've had people threaten to call the police on me. I've
Wow.
had cookouts, family members come from home to threaten me in the parking lot while I was doing the temperature test
Whoa.
because they accused me of
Whoa.
taking pictures of his wife's license tag. I'm like,
Wow.
I'm like, how stupid are you? And I wasn't really mad at him. I was mad at him for bringing him over, approaching an old 1980s era car sitting in the back of
Yeah.
a parking lot. You're going to approach that guy. I could have been anybody. He could have been
Yeah.
anybody. That was probably about the only time I really got mad at fast food workers. Otherwise, I never give
Yeah.
them. I make it a point not to give them a hard time
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the job sucks, and it's just a bad look if I'm arguing with them.
Yeah. No,
I'm not doing that. I'm
I
not
think
doing
that
that.
makes sense. I mean, to that point, something that we've seen in recent videos, and obviously if you at home have been going to fast food restaurants, especially Taco Bell, you're now getting AI at the window. How do you feel about that when you approach that? Because I've seen I feel like I see that you're annoyed by it, and I'm
Oh, I
certainly
hate
annoyed
it.
by it too. It makes me feel like shit. So what so are you totally
They're
anti
listening.
that?
They're
They're
up there
listening
listening.
anyway.
They're listening, and they can interrupt at any time.
Sure.
But what made it easy for me was I
Yeah.
put in my phone order first, and all I did is
Got it.
I got a phone order, and she's done with me. But I was
Yeah.
standing there setting my cameras up. I was like about 10 feet from the drive-through, with the thing parked up on the blind side of the building, putting
Yeah.
my cameras on the outside of the car. And this woman pulls up and starts trying to order breakfast. I mean, it keeps asking her, do you want to donate to this? Do you want to do this? Do you want to round up? Do you want
Right.
this? And she's like, she can tell, you can hear the exasperation in her voice. And
Sure.
I look over and I start laughing my ass off, and she saw me and got embarrassed.
Well, it's
I was
just
like,
it's such a
yeah,
it used to be such a clean transaction, and now it
yeah.
feels really complicated needlessly in a lot of
Oh,
ways.
it is. It is. Yeah, I don't like theirs.
Yeah.
Because if you say mobile order, it understands. But if you say phone order, it
Phone
thinks you said
order,
something.
yeah.
Yeah, I made that mistake the first
I
time. I said
I
phone order.
remember, right.
Yeah, and
Oh,
that
you
girl was like,
called in? Right.
yeah, oh, she was like, oh, and she was embarrassed too. I mean, I was getting comments like, oh, please go change your video. I said, I can't change it. I mean, I put it up there.
Yeah, right.
If I take that video down, I lose all the revenue off of it. Hell
Sure, sure,
no.
sure.
I
Yeah,
didn't want to.
yeah.
But
That
yeah,
makes sense.
they said she was like going to quit her job and stuff over it and go
Oh,
somewhere else because she
well,
was so embarrassed. But hey,
I mean, it's a weird thing now. I feel like these workers now have to juggle a lot of kind of silly stuff when their job is already,
yeah,
fairly
It's terrible.
fairly busy,
I mean, I wasn't mad at her. I was started to get a little irritated, but I'm like, no,
Right.
no.
Yeah.
Because see, those dudes that posed for those selfies like 2 weeks ago, and they're working and they're in there. Oh, but you should, after the video was shot, you should have seen them. They were hackling her, man. You could see them in there just laughing their asses off, pointing to them.
Oh man, God, brutal.
They were. I love that crew. They are funny. I will get in there and talk to them before. And
well, I remember
they're a hoot.
There was a video not that long ago. You went to Little Caesars and you had placed an order, I think, to be picked up, but they
what they do?
my entire chat and I were like panicking because I'm like, I've never heard this in my life. The guy just off the cuff said, "Why don't you come back in 15 minutes?"
Oh, that one.
And I was like,
what the hell?
"Oh my God, I've never heard anyone say that in my life. That's so crazy."
I was like, "What?"
No, I mean he changed his mind. He's like, just go park. And I was like, okay, that makes more sense. But I was like, all of us are like, oh my God, I've never
I remember that one.
I've never heard anyone say that. That's crazy.
Like, when I approach a drive-through, when I'm just driving in,
sure,
I still get nervous. My heart rate goes up.
Yeah.
Still. And I think that's a throwback when I've had people like trying to throw me off the property and stuff. I don't know, but you just never know what's going to happen. And especially when I had those Hero 10s. I have Hero 12s now. Hero 10s, GoPro Hero 10s, don't buy them. They're crap. I had 6 of them, and all 6 of them within 2 years are in op.
Wow.
Those things would run about 9 minutes and overheat. And if you go into like Arby's and they put you in the penalty box and literally forget you're there, which they've done.
Sure. Yeah.
You're sitting there sweating bullets. Oh, my cameras are going to overheat. You don't want to shut them off because I could say I measure how much time it takes in seconds, milliseconds, from the time they touches my hand to the time I put the thermometer in it. Because I have people say, well, Joe, that's cold if you've been driving around the parking lot. I'm like, no, dude. It's less than 60 seconds before I get the probe in it. So that's why I always put that up there. That's fairly new. Anyway, yeah. And I don't want to. Once I start the roll, I don't want to stop because that's how I measure it. It was because I put it in the editor and I caliper it out. So I don't want them to stop. But yeah, they did. I had a GoPro. I had the battery caught on fire in a GoPro at the Arby's last year.
Holy shit.
Killed the GoPro.
Wow, it overheated. That's nuts.
I was getting French fries. I was getting loaded fries, and they literally put me in the penalty box and forgot I was there. It's like 30 minutes. I'd shut them down and restarted them and everything, and they croaked. I mean, that you don't, because if your GoPro croaks, this little foray you got going on, it's over. You're gonna have to start over.
Yeah. What's I think one of the things that we your viewers really love, my chat really loves, it's the creation of Shadow Joe, the person, the idea. Well, first of all, everyone kind of treats Shadow Joe as kind of a separate entity, and I want to know kind of like,
it is.
He's
kind of a dick.
The origin of Shadow Joe, because obviously it's a smart tool to say, hey, listen, I know I've got 3 things. I've brought them back to my place. Who knows how far away it is? Obviously, I'm not getting it at its ideal.
The Sneakadoodle bite.
The Sneakadoodle bite is smart because it's got to factor into, okay, if you put this in the parking lot, it's good. Was Shadow Joe just kind of a tool to do that?
No, Shadow Joe kind of came afterwards. Yeah, that was kind of an afterthought.
Sure.
No, that started with where did I go? Popeyes. Yeah, Popeyes had these little strawberry biscuit things, right? And I said, okay, this is what I'm going to do today.
Yep.
I got and I before I went in, this is still when I was still letting my presence be known. I walked in and was asking about them. I had a question, and I noticed that they had a stack of them in these containers sitting up on the shelf, and every time you order one, they just like, here. Always they didn't come out of the damn oven. And I'm like, shit, And so I go through the drive-through and I'm doing my temperature test. I think they failed. I don't remember what it was, how I did that. But these things are so bad and so stale that probably, people are going to say, Joe, well, you carried him all the way back to the studio. What do you expect? Because by then I had a heated carrying case and it didn't matter.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I'm going to do kind of a sneak. I'm going to do a test right here. And then I started thinking, what am I going to call it? Then I started thinking, I used to work with this nurse that made Snickerdoodles for Christmas. And then the word popped into my brain and I said, Sneakadoodles. So I do the Sneakadoodle bite.
That's perfect.
I don't know whether I took 2 or 3 that day or not, but it's been 3. I actually read a poll 2 weeks ago because I was thinking about trying to shorten my videos and just do one Sneakadoodle bite. And they're like, no. I had like 80%.
People love the Sneakadoodle
want 3.
bites. Yeah.
So it's 3.
Yeah, you got to keep it. I mean,
but you got to tell.
It's a big deal.
Especially with Freddy's. I mean, Freddy's has like the shortest shelf life of a hamburger I've ever seen. I mean, 20 minutes later.
Your Freddy's one, I was literally saying as we were watching, I was like, it's the best parking lot fast food you can get, but if you take it home, it's not as good.
It's terrible. Don't even.
Those smash burgers are lacy and greasy and hot and melty, and that's great. But if you wait, it turns into a totally different thing. So I
thought they'd put like cheese or something on it and make them do that, but I watched them cook them, and I didn't see them do that. Yeah. Unless there's some mixed into the burger. But and I worry about, and especially with those guys, I worry about, well, what's it going to look like in studio? It's not going to look that attractive, and it rarely ever does. Yeah. I mean, the ad photo puffing. Yeah, that's industry standard. Standard. Yeah. I mean, I show you right now. This is my studio. This is what I've got on the wall behind the camera. This is for the next one. This is what I'm doing.
You know what? We know the Arby's cheesesteak is not going to look like those. It's going to be.
It's going to be about that damn big, I bet. And it's going to be about 3 ounces under its serving weights.
Yep.
So you know, the thing is about those serving weights, and I always wondered, well, what's the FDA say about that? Because I'm finding stuff that's like 2 ounces or 1.5 ounces light. That kind of renders the nutritional information completely wrong, because that the weight is a function of that. If they're not posting it, they know what serving weight is, because that's part of when you take it apart. You know how many grams of this and that and the other. But they actually give them 20% high and low for so if you have a 10-ounce burger, if it's 8 ounces, that's okay. Not here, not at this channel. I'm 10%. And the 10%, and like on the weight and the consistency weight test, that my wife is like super smart. She's the one that told me to do it, because I would just like eyeballed it. I'm like, that stuff's just too damn far apart. They failed. The Joe is hungry consistency weight test. But there's actually a mathematical formula for that. You take the heaviest and the lightest. The difference between that is supposed to be within 10%. Yes, and 10% of the average weight of all 3.
That's smart. So your wife, has she kind of helped you form parts of this? I know she used to appear in a couple of your older videos, and it's been a while.
She's never shown her face in my video. She was a Taco Bell video once, sitting next to me. Okay. And I was talking, and she kept like mumbling stuff to try and throw me off.
I guess that's
never
what
let
I'm
her come with
about.
me again. But no, she doesn't like to have her face on camera.
No, that totally makes sense.
She takes a little. She's like the serving weights, the price per ounce. That was her idea, and that way you could compare unlike fast foods.
Yeah,
that was actually her idea. Sometimes she'll taste something. A lot of times not. She's allergic to chicken, so if it's chicken, she gives me no input. Sometimes she can taste things that I have to think about a little bit, like in sauces and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like hot sauce. I'm not a big hot sauce person, but she can pick up the citrusy, and then when she points it out, then I can pick it up.
Sure.
And, I've actually had a couple spicy things, and it's not bad. As long as you have your squirty thing of sour cream as your antidote.
Yeah.
Santa cream, man.
Yeah,
I can rock those.
We have latched onto the tube of sour cream. Yeah,
I got 2 of them in my fridge.
I'm surprised Daisy has not sent you a giant pack of those things at this point.
Yeah, where's my money from damn Diet Coke,
I'm telling you, can get these deals. How many Diet Coke
spots have I give?
You need a manager making those deals for you.
But I don't take anything from everybody. Yeah, I think that makes sense. I have a lot of thoughts on that, because a lot a lot of other food reviewers, the one that take 3 bites and put it up there.
Yeah, no, tell me about that, because I feel like I was wondering
why are they getting good reviews on stuff just totally shit? I can't say shit because I don't cuss in my videos.
Yeah.
But why? And I've like, they must be wanting brand deals, but I've never, I I get collaboration offers in email like 4 times
Totally.
a day. You know,
Yeah.
I take none of them. I don't want to put them in my videos.
Yeah.
All I wanted is to get enough income to pay the electric bill here, to keep the air conditioning on, buy a few broken camera parts, and that's it. That's all I really care about.
Is
Buy food.
that and you know, tell me if this is inappropriate, but I am curious about that aspect of it because, you know, is this at this point? I know you were involved in nursing at some point before, you know,
Yeah,
just doing some research, and I'd
I
love
was
to
a
know more
registered
about
nurse for
that.
36 years.
36 years, that is such a
Yeah, I
long
was
time.
mostly critical care. I did
Wow.
open heart recovery. Not really. Yeah, open
Wow.
heart. That was back at the medical college in Augusta, and our
Uh-huh.
open heart. You know, because we had an open heart surgery center right next door, and I worked in the teaching hospital, so
Okay.
we get all the cases that they wouldn't put to sleep, that they were
Okay.
too bad a shape to do. So we would learn on them, or the
Wow.
doctors would learn. I wouldn't learn.
Yeah.
I did learn.
Yeah,
But
of
they were
course you
pretty,
did.
typically you get open heart surgery in a regular place. They've extubated you. They took you off the ventilator and you're walking around the room that night.
Sure.
My people almost never got extubated that day, if not for several days. A
Huh.
lot of times you come to work and they'd have the rib spreader still in the patient, and because every time
Ooh.
they close them up, they would go asystole. You know, so you'd have some pretty wicked, unstable patients. So yeah, that's how I
Wow.
cut. That's how I cut my teeth for critical care in there.
Is that
Yeah,
is the
not for the faint of heart.
so talk to your so speak a bit to your background then because I'm very curious. Was that something that you went into directly from like a college? Is that kind of where you did you go to college? I'm
Yeah.
just so
Well, I got
curious
an
about this.
associate
Okay.
degree.
Okay.
I don't have a
Sure.
bachelor's of science. The reason I got an associate degree because the local college that had the associate degree had 100% pass rate on state boards, and the place actually where I ended up working had a bachelor's degree,
Okay.
and they had a 50% fail rate on state boards.
Okay.
And I went to the 100% one, which was a flawed logic on my case, because I'm going to assume that I'm going to be on the bottom 50%. That wasn't the case.
Mm,
I was like in like the 5th or 6th percentile when I got out. But
yeah.
you know, so I went that route, and I never did get any more because, you know, I was happy. I didn't want to get a bachelor's. You're going to end up managing nurses, and it's bad
Sure.
enough managing crazy people and patients as it is. I don't want nurses are insane.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I was a meat cutter in a grocery store for 13 years before I went to
Okay.
college,
Okay.
and that's where this comes from. I bought that in
I
Tucson. I
was
bought that
literally
in
going to be a
Tucson.
question about your machete, so that's
Yeah,
incredible.
that's my steak knife. I bought that when I worked at a grocery store called AJ Bayless, which is now defunct, in Tucson, Arizona. I bought
Okay.
that from the RH Forstner rep, along with a
Wow.
couple boning knives. Yeah, I remember what I paid for that thing. Back in the day, it was kind of expensive. That was 1979. I bought that, so it's
So
been around a long time.
you've been waving and spinning that thing around for a very long
Yeah, I
time. You're
can handle
very
knives pretty good.
yeah.
13 years, you can tell I've got a lot of cuts.
Sure. Yeah.
I've cut
No, it's
myself playing with it here.
listen, I'm still nervous every time you do it because I'm like, oh man,
I don't do it
one wrong move.
fast. I
That's
don't
true.
do it fast. You know, I play with it. You know, it is fun to play with it. It's, you know, you want your video to stay the same, but then you want it to change a little bit. You don't want to do the
Sure.
same boring thing every time. Like,
Yeah.
it's like when I'm putting them on the scales and clapping them all back on there.
Sure.
I gotta come up with something else, you know. And
Yeah.
you try
Yeah.
to mix it up a little bit. And it's like setting the chair on the scales, you know. That's kind of like a silly thing to do, but you know what? I ran a poll on that. I'm like,
I remember.
everybody wants to see me set the chair,
Sit the
physically
chair on the
see me
sale.
set the chair on the scales, and I always have set the chair on the scales. I've never.
Right.
Oh, what do I care whether they pass or not?
Right.
You know, if they don't, they're going to make me mad.
Yeah. No, it makes sense.
But
Totally makes sense.
yeah, so yeah, did that, and I was kind of turning into the people I worked with. Not that there's bad, but you know, I worked with a lot of people with alcohol problems and stuff like that, and
Okay.
my wife told me
That's
I
a
was.
hard job.
Oh
That's
yes,
a
it
hard
is
job.
very dangerous. I mean, I could tell you some. You know, I worked. Originally, my main part of meat cutting was in grocery store stuff, which
Yeah.
requires a lot of knowledge. Now it doesn't, because
Yeah.
everything comes pre-cut, so you could.
Yeah.
20 minutes I could make you into a meat cutter, but then we had to
Sure.
take the whole hindquarters and stuff and break them all down
Whew.
correctly. And cut all our chickens. I worked at a place called Piggly Wiggly, one of the most filthiest.
I
They
know.
might be still living around. It's probably the
I'm
filthiest
aware of.
grocery store I've ever worked in.
I'm
It
aware
is.
of the Piggly Wiggly. Yeah.
They didn't even wash their bandsaw. They just like kept it shut
Oh
and hosed off the
no.
outside with hot water.
Oh
That's what they
no.
did. They wouldn't.
Yeah,
They wouldn't want to buy the soap.
I have family in East Texas. I lived in Arkansas. I've been to a couple Piggly
Yeah.
Wigglies. They have not aged well, I will say.
No, they were
No.
not. Not they were probably one of the worst places I've ever worked. They were not
Mm,
nice because that was back when
mm,
I was working a pig when I was going to go to school, and I says I need to go part time and go to because I want to just go to school. I had no idea that I was going to go into nursing. I just like
yeah.
started going to school, did math and English, and learned how to read and write again.
Yeah.
And I asked the pig, and I'm like, hey, can I go? Part time or something. If you're not planning on making your career here, then you're fooling yourself. That's what I
Oh,
was told,
okay.
and so
All
I
right.
walked out on him.
Yeah. No, that's
And
fair.
then I'm working at another grocery store then a week later.
So what interested you in becoming a nurse after that period of time?
My brother-in-law, he
Okay.
worked in the CTICU, cardiothoracic, not
Hmm.
CVICU is difference. Um, he worked there, and he was always telling me all these horror stories, and he told me how much they make, and I was just got through my math because I love math. That's why I like computers because it's all math.
Sure.
Um, and English 101. I loved English 101. Didn't do that
Yeah.
great, but I loved English 101 because the video is like English 101. It's an essay with video.
Sure.
But
Sure.
anyway, he would tell me all these horror stories, what's going on in the ICU, people we intubated or people were fighting and they have to tie them up. And I'm like, well, that just sounds cool. Tell me how much he makes. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Because back then, in the late 1980s, it was the only degree you could get, an associate degree, and make over $100,000 your first year out of
Ooh.
school.
Wow.
But you had to work overtime. You just didn't get that.
Sure.
But that's the thing. The pay for nursing has not really increased much in the last 30
Mm-mm.
years.
No, it hasn't. Yeah.
No,
Which is
inflation has like destroyed it.
which is nuts because it's still an incredibly important and difficult job. That it's
It's
unbelievable.
it's yeah, it's you have the job of a poorly paid waiter,
Uh-huh.
yet you're supposed to maintain a very high technical expertise in what you
Mm-hmm.
do. And
Sure.
most people treat you pretty good. You get some people in that treat you pretty bad, but
Yeah.
I never really
Did you
had
have
a
a
problem.
good bedside manner with people, you feel like?
They seem to think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was nice to
Sure.
people. It can't help it because
Yeah.
they're sick.
You
I mean,
know,
people want to be
of
in a bad
course.
mood. Yeah, it can't help it. I mean,
It's
shit.
hard. Yeah. No, I
Yeah,
just
it's the
had
nurses I
ankles.
don't like to see in a bad mood because
uh,
get over it.
I
But
know.
these
No,
guys, yeah, they're sick. I
I had
mean,
ankle surgery 3 weeks ago, spent a couple days in the hospital, and yeah, you don't make it through that without good nurses that are, that are
paying attention to what's going on.
in sync with you. When you're high, they're high, you're having a good time. When you're pissed off, when you're grumpy,
Yeah.
they're sympathetic. They're quick to help you figure out what it is to help
I
you
mean,
with. And
I haven't
boy,
been admitted to the hospital where I used to work, but I've been over
yeah.
there and had, when I retired a little more than a year ago in February. And as soon as I retired, I got sick as hell.
Mm,
That went on for like 7 months.
wow.
I'm down 40 pounds from what I was a year ago.
Okay.
Not I love the first 10 pounds from was being sick. The rest of it was on purpose.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
I got a full cardiac workup, got all sorts of stuff done. Never did figure out what's wrong with me, but I hated working there. But toward the end, I really hated working for that. I really had a little bit of contempt for the people, the administration.
Sure.
But I really liked going there as a patient.
Yeah.
It was okay.
Yeah.
Everybody knew everybody. They're all like treated me special,
Well, that's
and
nice.
and I was worried about dying too because I thought I was done. I take my wife over to the computer, like this is where the passwords are to pay the bills.
Oh, sure.
I couldn't
You were
breathe.
having
I
really?
had
Wow.
gallbladder symptoms. I couldn't sleep. I was having like
Whoa.
anxiety attacks, and I never had any psych issues. Never. And
Wow.
I used to like, when I see patients have like anxiety attacks, I'm like, yeah, whatever, dude. But yeah, let it
Yeah,
happen to
no.
you once,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
Oh no! I thought
No, it's
yeah,
for real. Yeah.
yeah, and it was terrible, and I couldn't stop shooting the videos because of course YouTube's a trap.
Sure. Yeah.
It
Well,
is.
we'll talk about that because I think that is because I can sit here and this is just conjecture, but it's like I can make up a story of you or any creator because I've heard a lot of creators who burn out and literally make themselves sick trying to
Yeah,
chase the algorithm. Does that
yeah.
are you in a space where you're feeling comfortable with that way of working with that algorithm, or are there moments where you're like, God, I just want to take a fucking vacation? You know, is there
Yes.
something like that
I have to
going
I
on?
have to stop myself from making the videos too quickly. And then when I'm ready to go, there's nothing out there to review. And like now I have 2 videos stacked. And that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of the reason I held back today. We just
Yeah.
like, no, it's look, this thing has been out for a week and a half. There's no way that I'm going to get stuff out before anybody else, because
Sure.
their production time is 20 friggin' minutes.
Right. Yeah.
They shoot
Yeah.
their video, they probably spend 20 minutes editing it, boom, done, just like that. And it's just
Well,
no.
I suspect
I
people
mean,
don't. I suspect people do not come to you for the specific bottom line on the food. Maybe that's important, but I do think they come to you
they
because
do.
of your specific the way you do things. I think that
Yeah.
is what I think that's a lot of it. I think there is this different angle and vibe that you bring to things that a lot of food reviewers here, I'm gonna
I
get in
like
the
making
car.
videos.
I'm gonna mukbang everything. I'm gonna tell you what I think, and that's it. And you do things differently.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah,
I like making the videos. I
yeah,
mean, if I didn't like making the videos, and I get a little bit of a thrill, if I pick a good song
sure,
out and that on my title roll, that's my favorite part of the video. I mean, B-roll, I'll tell you, for a creator,
yeah.
the person who likes your B-roll the most is actually the one that made it.
I believe
so,
it.
you
Yeah,
got to keep that's why you got to keep it short, 30
yeah.
seconds. I mean, I'm letting my reveal run a little bit longer because it's just like, I don't know, it's just popular, and I
Sure.
can't shorten it down much. But
Yeah.
advice to somebody that wants to make food videos:
Mm,
pick a different subject if you're doing it for any sort of income, because
mm,
food videos are the absolute worst thing you could pick for income, because the
really
shelf life of your video is so short, two
short.
weeks, that's it.
Okay.
The length is short, 9-10 minutes, that's it. And you get paid per minutes watched on YouTube.
Right.
So
Yeah.
your income is going to be pathetic.
Mm,
And it is. I mean, people were saying, "Oh, you got 150,000 subs, you can make a living off that." Au contraire.
no.
I get more money from TikTok actually,
I was
and I
gonna
hate
ask.
TikTok.
Yeah.
I hate TikTok.
Are you specifically doing those TikTok cuts and putting them up on TikTok as well?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Like
have,
so
yeah. If
you
somebody else is pirated on there,
you haven't outsourced any of that. You're
no,
doing
no,
all
no.
that
Everything
yourself?
is mine.
Wow.
Everything is
Amazing.
mine. I do not shoot in vertical. I
Yeah.
would put, people say, "Oh, you need to do shorts on YouTube." Then, no, 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 no. I like the wide format. You can tell by
Sure.
what I've got going on here.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
um,
I want to ask about the songs because something we've also noticed is that you were picking different music in all these episodes. I mean, like and
it varies a little bit.
as someone with an epidemic sound subscription myself, I can get lost in that stuff, but not the way you can. Like
I
you get deep into that. Do you have a backlog of things that you've already identified, or are
Yes,
you going,
yeah. I
okay,
keep a
so
backlog of about
you keep
80
a backlog.
songs.
Okay.
And sometime on downtime, if I'm rather than playing Angry Birds on my computer, I'll sit there for 3 hours just pouring through music, the 100 songs. I'll click, 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 and then something
Wow.
strikes me, makes me like, oh, I like that. Boom. That's for a thing. As far different types of music for different things, but the
Yeah.
intros can be anything, and I like to vary
Okay.
a little bit. I mean, I'm not a big fan of rap music, but something about rap music, if you take the vocals out of it, some of that music is actually quite interesting and
Sure.
complex.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
that's I spend a lot of time on that. Nobody's going to do that.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
Epidemic Sound, yeah, I had a few beefs with Epidemic Sound, because they have a little down arrow on there you've seen that
They
tells you when
do.
you upload it, download it less. Well, they take
Yep.
those off every once in a while, and so
Yeah.
then I'm like, I can't remember whether I use that or not. That's very annoying. So now
Yeah.
I take them and put them in. I have a separate thing called used. I mark them for that. I'm like, okay, let's see. I
Got it.
got like 900 songs that I've used. I don't like to use the same one over and over again.
I
But
know.
yeah, the
Yeah.
intro song, and then you have a song. You can usually techno trance usually works really
Yeah.
well for the reveal. And then the
Sure.
drive-through, I like rock. I like something that's like bum, bum,
Sure.
bum, bum. Yeah, you like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Makes
Um,
sense. The cats that appear in your videos, are they
yeah,
strays around you, or are they yours? Are they your cats?
They're mine and my sister's up in Ohio.
Okay.
I sent her. I just sent her a new GoPro because I sent her a Hero 10, one of the last
Okay.
ones, and it shit the bed and died too.
Okay.
And Hero 10s, Hero 12's been bulletproof.
That's amazing. Great.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
awesome.
the thing's got to run time an hour out in a hot car, and they don't die. But
Yeah.
anyway, I've not had them sneeze. These things here, oh my god! But anyway, yeah, she'll shoot some of hers, Louie, and those are her cats. But you know, I wish I could get her to teach him cat tricks and stuff like that. I used to have a black cat that would do cat tricks. He would like jump from the cars, and I put a tripod up there and catch him at 240 going across in an arc.
That's
I
great.
had that. But then my neighbor rat poisoned him, and I was kind of upset about that.
No.
But,
Wow.
I will.
Yeah,
I know
really
who did
upset
it.
about
I know
that.
who did it. Oh yeah, we're gonna. Yeah, that's not over. But that's been a couple years ago. I haven't forgot about that yet. But then
I wouldn't forget about it either.
Priscilla's an evil cat, man. Priscilla is one of the most aggressive black cats. I pet her and she still bites me. She'll bite you and claw you like you're not petting me right. Yeah. I'm like, God dang.
Yeah.
But she has cleared the area. Yeah, the original fuzzy cat is Belle, and she's inside. I thought she's like 22 years old, and I want her to go outside. Yeah, because first thing that's going to happen is Priscilla's going to jump on her and then chase her up a tree. It's going to take me 2 days to get her out of the tree.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. We thought she was going to die this spring, but we got her inside, put her in a big cage, and fed her, and she's got her weight back on.
That's good.
Yeah, she was original of 4, but yeah, those are all my cats. The other ones are my sister's in Ohio. Okay. She's got 4 kittens, so there's supposed to be some kitten footage because I just sent her a Hero 12 today, and it better. I want to see some. You know how cute those are. People love that stuff.
Are the best.
Just slow motion.
Yeah. No, that's gonna be awesome. That's gonna be great.
Yeah, the cats. I'm not really sure exactly where the cats started and I ran a poll about do you want to keep seeing cats? Birthday shout outs. You know, do you want to get rid of the birthday shout? No, 80%.
No, it makes sense. I mean, and it's engagement, and I definitely want to ask about that because there's something very. I think I want to ask broadly. Have you and your wife, and it sounds like maybe your sister, have y'all always been kind of engaged with the internet? I mean, you're older than a lot of folks that make. Thing. Okay, so that's been something you adopted immediately and have stayed with it.
Networking is a side hobby of mine that I haven't really exercised lately. I know a lot of more than I probably should about that. Sure. That also. Yeah, because where they live, there is nothing. They're just putting fiber optic in on their road for the first time, but otherwise we've had nothing. How we got internet? We had the city 2 miles away. Me and another guy got access to their water tower. We ran a downlink to the city hall off of a 10 megabit DSL in the city hall, uplinked to the water tower, put 3 access points in the water tower, and had about 40 users on there, charged them all like $10 a month, and gave all the money to the city just so we could get internet to our house and do this all over 2.4. Yeah, it was all 2.4 gigahertz. We had people as far as 9 miles away to get internet. We give them 2 megabits.
Wow.
So he usually climbed the high stuff because I'm afraid of heights, and I did all of the background networking where we used I forget what the name of the open source software we used for the router, because if you use a regular over-the-counter router, it would seize and die with the load on it, with like 25 people using it at once. That's just like incredible. You'd be rebooting it every 3 to 4 times a day.
Wow.
Yeah, but we did that.
So you've been kind of engaged. Like, have you? Because the way you've kind of grown in Discord, the way you kind of engage with your community, it feels like you understand whether it's forums or something. Like, have you engaged with those things before at this point? No,
I didn't know what Discord was, and I didn't know what Discord was until somebody said you need to have a Discord server. I'm like, fuck's that? And I would just state, because I'm YouTube, okay? Even though they don't pay that much, I'm YouTube. Sure. I mean, I can tell you why I have a problem with TikTok. I'll go into that because of their copyright muting and stuff that they did. Yeah. But I finally broke them because I was using Epidemic Sound on there and they copyright muted. 80% of Epidemic copy, and you're supposed to be able to use. I mean, I went to Epidemic and talked to them. You went
to the white label and you did all that stuff, and they still muted it?
I did everything. Whoa. I went and complained to them. I would get my stuff unmuted. They would actually get unmuted, but it took them like 2 weeks for Epidemic to communicate with TikTok to get them to unmute it.
Because it should be like Epidemic says, oh, it's easy. If you just whitelist it, it'll be, oh, wow.
And you can only use 60 seconds of Epidemic music, less than 60 seconds.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, there's a fix for that. I finally figured it out. Yeah.
Okay.
They just wanted $10 a month. That's all they wanted.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah. You just just pay $10 a month for CapCut. Open up CapCut.
Oh, sure.
They have good music selection and relatively good music selection, and it makes it. You can pick out something with a beat. Because every time I upload to TikTok, I have to strip all the music out of it. Put the music in, recut, retime everything. So it takes me about 2 hours to do that.
So, God, that's a lot. So for every TikTok, you're doing an additional couple hours of work to get a new track in there from their library. Wow.
Correct. Wow. Same way with Instagram. Instagram pays nothing.
And for that 2 hours of work, you're making more money doing the TikToks than you are YouTube videos.
They historically have run about equal. I can tell you how much I make. I don't care.
It's up to you to tell.
I make anywhere about $400 to $600 a month from YouTube, which is pathetic.
Wow,
about the same
off of TikTok. That's a lot less than I expected.
Except TikTok. For some unknown reason, it's like playing a slot machine. About every 8th or 10th video will go crazy.
Yeah.
I've got one up to the Culver's video. Last I looked was 5.4 million views. And they pay anywhere from 70 cents to $1.20 1,000 clicks. Okay. They don't pay per minute. They pay per clicks.
Yeah.
So, So
engagement.
Yeah, that actually helps out. But then really I don't have that much overhead. I'm not trying to make money. I tell people that I'm not trying to make money. People donate a little bit sometimes in the birthday shout outs. They're like, wow, yeah, I mean that's okay. I give you priority, or if you want to throw a picture in, you can. If not, then you go in the back queue where I try to read it out and leave them annotated on the screen as long as I can. I've been working on that. And then you get people to send these pictures sometimes that are like, I won't put them up. You sending me something, you assume that I'm put pictures up on everybody. No, I don't. Anyway.
No.
The birthday shout out's always been a point of contention because I don't want to do things that are going to mess up my retention rate, because there is a dip on that. People click past that a little bit, but not much. Yeah. And I try to keep it down to 18 seconds, although this one coming out went up to 28 seconds. And like I say right now, I've already shot it. It's already done.
Yeah.
Finished it. Got somebody that donated. And I'm like, oh, I got to go do it. And, no, this wasn't you. This wasn't you. This was somebody else. So I went back and reshot it and did it again yesterday. Because I just sewed it in. And now I've got 3 stacked up, and I'm not putting any more in. It just because it's got to time correctly the way you do it. You just can't randomly do it.
Well, definitely something, though, I've noticed in your Discord and also in the birthday shout outs and all that stuff. There are these very niche communities that have come in and supported you and the channel, VTubers, these other creators. Like,
they watch my videos.
What is your? Yeah, I know, I see it. I mean, do you engage with that stuff at all, or are you just kind of like, whatever?
No.
This is great. Okay.
To be honest with you, I fail totally to understand the audience and watching them, because I don't have much time in the time of the day. I just don't get it. Meat's nice, They watch my videos, I'm like, and I appreciate that. That was actually sent to me, that picture. All those were sent to me by somebody, because when I was doing live stream, people would send me a lot of stuff.
Sure, yeah.
And I put it up there for them. I've got another spot for somebody. I can't remember who they are right off the top of my head, but I told them all, like, hey, you want it, send it to me. I've got an open spot.
What do you think the appeal is? Because it's a broad cross section. There are a lot of people who really they like your stuff. Do you have any sort of do you think about that stuff, or do you just let it go? Because As I'm someone that I think would obsess about that, of like, what is it about that group that likes what I do?
Well, I did obsess about Will Neff because
Okay.
when I watch somebody watch my video, I like to watch them and see what they're doing, see what they're getting,
Sure.
like they're like blurring out, waiting for something to get over with, like the birthdays or
Okay.
if my B-roll, if my intro roll is like boring, I watch them, if I'm talking too long, and do I need to speed this up and stuff?
Interesting.
But yeah, Will Neff, I kind of got a little upset once when I gave a score much higher than he thought I should have gave, because man, this thing looked like somebody sat on it, and I gave it like a 6 or 5.5 or something, because it did taste good. And then he's like, "Oh, he's been compromised." He just was kidding, but I'm like, that kind of upset me a little bit, because I am not compromised, but Will Neff is a very generous guy. I love him. He offered to send me a computer to live stream with.
That's cool.
One of his support. Yeah. Will Emeru. I love Emeru. Emeru is one of the nicest people. That's the thing about Twitch streamers. Okay.
Yeah.
This is the reason my channel is big as it is now. It's kind of getting a mind of its own and growing proportionally. If I do usually when I would release a video, I would get a dip in my subs and I get a jump in the unsubs, especially live streaming. That's why I stopped doing it. But now when I release a video, I get a rise in I get a swell in my subs. Okay. So I think that's more appropriate for what I was doing, because a lot of it was artificial. And that's what I really worried about. Like when Moist Critical did that and my sub count went from 7,000 up to 35,000 in 24 hours. Which for a YouTuber is intoxicating. Yeah,
I'm sure.
I put it up on the screen on my computer and sat in my bed until dawn, watching the numbers go click, 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 click. I mean, I'm like,
that's yeah, I can imagine.
But and I try to thank him, Joe Bartolozzi. I tried to thank him, Joe Bar, you ever heard of yeah. I tried to go in their chats. Hey, thanks for playing my video. I appreciate it. I don't want to do it again. I'm not trying to get like pump them for a little more. Right, I don't care. Yeah. They're going to do it if they're going to do it. But nobody ever responded to me. I'm like, I was ignored. It kind of hurt my feelings. And I went into Will Neff. I'm thank him, and he ignored me. I'm like, damn. And
then they have big busy chats. It's
I
hard.
I know.
It's hard to catch.
And then I saw a video. Somebody gives me a link to a video that was titled "Joe came to my chat and I ignored him."
Well,
and I went to Emeru.
Yeah.
And the reason I say about Emeru is because she's the only one that ever stopped in her tracks and acknowledged that I came into her chat.
Sure. Yeah.
With 30,000 people watching her. She has awesome following, and that in itself is intoxicating, that you're going to get noticed over a massive audience. Like Joe's here, and so then I always worry, I try not to watch him. I used to watch him because I knew when Emeru was playing my video, she'd play one like every 2 or 3 weeks.
Sure.
I'm sitting there editing and looking at my computer, looking at my sub count, and it starts popping up like 150. And I'm like, okay, somebody's watching one of my videos. So I go over there, Emeru's watching, because Emeru's or Will Neff's watching.
Yeah.
But I always worry.
You mentioned that a lot of your following does come from those Twitch streams. I mean, so is that
tons of them.
Okay, amazing.
That's why I'm always kind. Anybody comes to me and says they want a birthday shout out for a Twitch streamer, they're gonna get their link, they're gonna get their channel name and their photo every time. I got one coming out.
Great.
I've never heard of him, but he has not a small Twitch channel.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm sure But I have a soft spot for Twitch streamers because they have been very kind to me. Even Joe Bartolozzi, I talked to him. I'm in his Discord and we live chat. We were going to do this is what I wanted to do with Joe Bartolozzi. He wants to like try a sandwich from up there in New Jersey, I think, and me in Georgia, and see if they're different. I'm like, especially after trying to do food reviews in my live stream, and I'm like, that to me was a disaster.
Yeah,
because I spend more time prepping for that, and you can't do the same kind of review live. You can't do it.
No, it's
I don't have time to think. I don't have like all the camera angles. I mean, I tried putting a second camera up, a down camera on the scales. I did all that, and like nobody's watching it, and I don't know. I think it hurt my channel, but that's what I wanted to do. I just wanted to talk to Joe Bart. Like, how in the world, Joe Bart, do you sit there and talk for 5 or 6 hours without losing your voice? I don't get it. I'm a little hoarse now.
there are podcasters I know that talk to themselves for 3 to 4 hours, and I just don't know how they do it. I really don't. It's really
You're actually very
it's
good at
super
hosting,
impressive. Oh,
by the
thank you so
way.
much. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Will Neff's
There's
great too. I mean,
a lot
he
of
had me
a
on for
lot of experience. So
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, Will Neff had me on. I did live with Will Neff and
yeah.
Emery at the same time. That was a I was so upset over that one because they were working out of somebody else's studio and the
Oh,
camera screwed up. So when I'm talking to them, because I like to look at their picture and then try to look
sure.
at the screen, all I could see was Simmeru's the side of her head. And I'm like, oh,
Oh,
it's not. Oh, it's
okay,
like,
good.
oh man, I wanted to talk to
Right.
Emery because Emery was
Yeah.
like a god to me. He's like, how you get this thing when you're on camera. You're like a larger than life person, and I know
Sure.
they're just regular people,
Yeah.
but then even me being on video, I fall prey to that.
Yeah. No, I think we all do. I mean, I talked before we went live. I talked about how weird it is to see you in your set, but we're interacting. It's very strange. I mean, it's like I don't have this. I don't really do. I don't really get the starstruck thing anymore because I feel like I've just met enough people to kind of have. I used to live in
Yeah,
L.A. I used to live in L.A. too, so I would see a lot of celebrities, and they're just fucking people. Like they're just trying to get on with their lives, and it's like. So I got over that, but it is surreal, especially like when you have the cameras involved and a set that people recognize. It's an odd thing. I mean, and
yeah.
it makes your brain kind of go into this weird overdrive. But I had a couple more questions, and we can wrap. Um,
Okay,
if your editing is one high skill, okay.
really.
I yeah
I don't.
I believe so. Yes,
I
and
don't know.
also
I spend a lot of time. There's especially doing the reveal. You get because you're like stretching things. You can actually make your cuts too quick.
I,
Sometimes I'll do that.
I hear you.
I'll
I
put
hear
the
you.
sandwich up to the camera and pull it back in like
Sure,
3 milliseconds, and I'm like,
sure.
and then I've released the video, and I'm like, ugh.
There's no denying that there's room for improvement, even for people who are really great. But I just want to say there's a lot of care that goes into your edits. How did you learn editing? Did you kind of self teach it, or
Yeah.
did you go so totally self taught? No.
Nah, trial and error mostly.
Okay.
In the beginning, I would watch other videos, like I watched Casey Neistat about doing cut changing scenes and stuff like that, where I was
Sure.
clapping. Um, but beyond that, not very much. There's not much that I do that I saw in other videos. I mean, I went out looking for videos one time on how to do food photography, and I
Mm.
couldn't find anything because I was wanting to
Mm.
spruce up my work.
Sure.
Um, because I've got a kind of a routine that I go through. I've got a little dolly, like a little toy car that the camera
Yeah.
sits on, and I'll put it on the rotating table, and I'll put the camera on there, rotating the opposite spin. That way you can see the background move, this
Yeah.
move, and that move at the same time. But that's just trial and error. I've done a lot of stupid things. You're like, well, that looks cool, and then I started doing it. On the bite test and stuff like that was just a joke for my brother.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but that's interesting. I mean, if you
Okay.
trial and error is it is a tough thing to learn on, but it feels like you've definitely expanded your repertoire of edits that you like to make and cuts that you like to make, and because you can see the difference from 200 videos ago to now, you've definitely expanded that language.
Well,
I think it's very
what
interesting.
you do is you don't try to fix the whole video at once. You
Sure.
work on little pieces of it and you try to
Hmm.
perfect it and you go to here. It's like the lighting and the cameras. I spent weeks trying to make all three cameras match. I figured they're Canons. They have the same algorithm for the white
Hmm.
balance, right?
Hmm.
No,
Hmm.
they don't.
Hmm.
There's a difference between the SL2, the SL3. They're very close, but the
Hmm.
90D, no, it was like
Mm.
years different. So if I ever buy cameras again, I'll get three exactly matching cameras.
That makes
But
sense. Yeah.
yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, yeah. So you mentioned
but
review scores a little bit earlier. I That's one of those things where
oh yeah, my
we
score system. I stole that from One Byte.
yours okay, but your do you feel like your review scores are consistent, or do you feel like they've changed in terms of your critical level over time, or has that remained largely
Yes,
the
with
same to you?
experience, I think. I think over the last year or so, it seems like my scores have trended down a little bit on stuff, or that or the foods got worse.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I gave a 9 this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I mean,
yeah.
I've considered going back and doing Massey's Pizza another time, but every time I go up there, I'm just like so hungry, and I just like screw the cameras and eat,
Yeah.
because that was like my gold. That's the gold standard that I judge everything against.
Yeah. Interesting.
Wow. Yeah. They have not changed their pizza at all. They gave me these pizza bags because back in the day when I first started eating there, they didn't put it in boxes. They put it in paper bags.
Okay.
And they puff them up. You ever seen that before?
No, I haven't.
Oh yeah, they're big bags, and they would like puff some air in them, and then they'd hand it to you. Grease would be soaking through the sides and stuff. And you'd eat out in the parking lot, and I was like, awesome. Actually, I got the guy that owned one of them to give me a whole handful of them. I don't have one stuck on the wall anymore, but I keep them away because they're an art. They're back from the 70s.
Sure.
But
that's cool.
But back to what I was saying about like just there's a transition I do when we're starting the reveal.
Yeah.
Okay. And I bring the sandwich over and I say, now it's time to do the Joe's Hungry big reveal. And I spin it. Used to be I would spin it, stop it, and then I would unwrap it on camera and then throw it and then fold it up real fast and throw it over the side. I haven't done that in a long time. I find it to be nerve-wracking to do that. But lately I just spin it and clap it. Nobody seems to care.
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. Should I do? That's what I ask you. I don't know what people say unless they like troll me or something. And the trolls just like say your stuff sucks, like.
No, I
think be a little more specific.
It feels natural for you to be making small changes, especially if things like to you feel like they're stagnant or too much work or whatever. And if you're not seeing a difference between your drop offs while people are watching, then who cares? Do the easier thing.
Yeah, it's about the news. I like to do close-ups. Sure. I don't like to do chicken strips. I just hate to do chicken strips because they're small and they're so hard to get the autofocus on them. And so and nothing worse than getting back in your editing and your close-ups to your food are out of focus. That's the video before this. I went back here at 11 o'clock at night and reshot. I still had one left that I hadn't defiled, and I was holding it up to the camera. I defile them. Yeah, I mean, there's 4 burgers. There's nothing left anybody would want to eat.
Yeah, that's a good point. What do you eat when you're not eating fast food? Do you still eat a lot of fast food, or do you cook?
No, I eat very little fast food. Very little cook. Vegetables, a lot of salad. I'm on a weight loss. Been on a weight loss campaign. I've lost nearly almost 40 pounds, and I'd like to lose about 10 or 15 more.
Sure.
I eat a lot of salad. We'll eat brisket. We'll eat like. Barbecue brisket because there's not that much fat on it and it's protein, so you want to stay away from the carbs.
Makes sense.
But the video eating the fast food in the videos is not. I mean, actually, I don't gain weight when I shoot some of these things, like the chicken strips. I ate all those things, all 5 orders of them. They weren't that bad. They tasted good. That's why I didn't buy them so bad. I just was so horrified about how much they were.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy how expensive fast food has gotten.
Normal price for chicken fingers, about anywhere you go, is $1 and $1.25 for really high ones or wings. These is about $1. But these were like $2 a piece for these.
Yeah.
Come on, dudes. I was just lucky they cooked them fresh.
Have you ever been tempted to shift from fast food to like fast casual chains that are introducing new products? Like, has that ever been tempting for you?
The problem is location and where I'm at. I'm to go all the way down into Atlanta is like a 50-minute drive, and I've gotten so addicted to using my studio. I got to keep it. I mean, I will go down to like Marietta, which is about a 30-minute run. I'll go down there for Whataburger and get cold fruit from Whataburger and bring it back.
Listen, I live in the state where Whataburger originated, and when that VC firm bought
they ruined it.
Changed a lot.
And they're building them like crazy. They built another one in Ackworth, which is even closer to me. But they haven't had a grand opening yet. I almost went there, and I'm like, nah, let's just go to familiar territory and just keep it.
I used to be
right.
I used to be a big Whataburger booster, and it's been harder and harder for me to
Oh, I
support it.
remember
So
Whataburger. I remember Whataburger from like 40 years ago when I rode my
yeah,
motorcycle all the way everywhere. I'd be out like jamming, going out to Arizona on my motorcycle on my
yep,
BMW, and it's like 2 a.m, West Texas. And then you can see this orange light off in the distance.
hell
That's
yeah,
all you can. Yeah, at 3 a.m, eat a Whataburger.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
you eat
good
all that
shit.
food, and then you're like falling on your face trying to stay awake from the motorcycle. I was like, that was not a good move.
It's definitely yeah, definitely familiar territory. Yeah, I've definitely done that a few times. Not on a motorcycle, but in a car. Yeah, no,
Oh, they don't ride
that's
anymore.
wild. So you've made 500 of these videos. Are you
Yeah,
making 500 more? Are you trying to shoot for a
yeah.
specific number? Or are you
I have
just
no, I
are
have no end. I have no end time on it.
no end time? Cool.
Unless I get too old to shoot or my hair falls out, my neck kind of looks like an old man neck. But my Korean friends tell me to, if you gotta, in order to make your neck look right, you press the tongue against the top of your mouth. It's a selfie trick. All these young Korean girls do their
Wow.
little selfies. Yeah, because a Korean nurse. She's a foreign national from Korea, works over
Wow.
here, and she's like a selfie queen.
Amazing.
Was giving me
It's a good
pointers on
tip. That's a
selfies.
good tip. I'm gonna have to
I don't
start
know.
doing that. Yeah,
I don't
I
do it
didn't know
anymore.
that either. That's funny.
But
Um,
yeah, I don't see it ending anytime soon. I mean,
cool.
the biggest thing I do is I try to make it not feel like a job that I have to do, because
Right.
I don't have to go to work anymore, and my sleep schedule's all screwed because I worked nights for all 36 years.
Hmm.
So it's what I'm trying to do is get out of bed earlier in the morning because I like to sleep till 11 o'clock. But
Hmm.
if I'm going to shoot a video, I want to be sitting in that drive-through at 10:30 right before they open,
Got it.
before it gets hot, and then that way I can get back, edit my video, actually get it completely, and I can have it ready to drop by 7 and 8 o'clock at night. And I'm like, I can drop the same day that I actually shot the body of the video. That's like a
Cool.
big win for me,
Yeah,
even though I'm forgetting that I already spent a day and a half working on the first part of it.
that's cool. Well, this is a traditionally a gaming podcast, so I have to ask Joe, do you
Yeah,
play
I
any
know. I went and
games?
looked at it. My wife does.
What does she play? Do
Le-
you know what does she
a lot
play?
of first person shooters, Left 4 Dead, 7 Days to Die, and some other stuff that I don't recognize. She still plays Portal 1 and 2 and all that.
Cool.
I used to play Portal back in the day, but I haven't played a game in like 25 years.
Did y'all play
I used
together, Portal? Because you could do
No,
co-op.
not with my
No,
wife.
so
No, she was
okay,
back when I was playing games. She was she just finished medical school and she was in a residency down in UTMB Galveston, and
okay,
I was up in still in Georgia when she was down there.
sure,
And that was a whole different life with computers. That was my networking days,
yeah,
my software piracy days,
yeah,
because
yeah,
it's just like YouTube. Yeah, YouTube. Yeah, I like making videos and stuff like that. But there's another aspect of my videos.
yeah.
Can I actually do it? Will people actually watch my videos? Because this is obviously not an easy thing to do.
No,
Getting a channel with this many subs on YouTube is
it's
hard,
not. Mm-mm.
unless you're
Yeah,
just lucky and you pick something like politics right now. You see how many political channels there are? I can't even hardly watch a
yes,
video for politics, and they're getting like hundreds of thousands of views too.
right,
I'm like,
yeah,
wow, they're making money. Maybe not. I don't know. Who knows? But
yeah,
I'm not here to like roll in cash. All I want to do is, like I say, not have to pay. I don't want it to cost me anything, and that's been the
yeah.
goal. But I'm getting a little more than that with TikTok. Has helped a lot,
That's cool.
and sometimes people, send me little donations, which is really nice.
Amazing.
It helps pay for the food. But
That's awesome. Well,
yeah, is can I do it? But yeah, I was telling you back then. Yeah, I know you probably to shut it off. We've been yakking
that's all
for over
right.
an hour now.
That's okay.
But
It's good. No.
yeah, it's my software piracy days, because like who, and I was like,
Okay.
because you could, my friends, all my computer nerd friends, because I had computers everywhere. They're coming up with like, oh, here's this game and here's the crack for the game. I'm like, really? Well, I mean, where's that come from? What's that about? So I wanted to figure it out. Where's it come from? How
Hmm.
does it get distributed? Who actually does it?
Sure.
And I worked into it. There are like 3 levels. You have the cracking people that actually did the
Hmm.
coding. Then you have the distribution people called couriers. I
Hmm.
don't know if they even do it anymore. I'm out of the game because it's just like it was stupid. I had millions of dollars worth of software. I knew how to use none of it.
That's
I just,
incredible.
or you'd archive it like, oh God, I got more.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just stupid. But yeah,
Yeah.
I was into the currying thing. I had like I owned like 4 or 5 Linux shells, and I would do site to site transfers all over the
Holy
world.
shit.
I mean, I was
Really?
this. Yeah, before medical college where I was working on the floor before they learned how to secure their network, because most of the networks in the hospitals and stuff like that in the educational institutions were Linux based. And if you're really a software pirate guy, it's like the scoring scale. If you're going to call it a 1 or 2 or a 5, that's amateur action. Okay. The real guys, the N and O guys, all worked in Linux, not Windows. You'd have Windows and then you'd telnet out to Linux.
Sure.
Yeah. And I would have me, I'd telnet. What I did is I had me a Linux box over at my house, and I would telnet over to that and it telnet out all over the world. And I would have like 8 screens with all this stuff going by, and I'd go out and see my patients. I'd come back and start a few, It was an addiction.
Whoa.
And I would get out. Yeah, I would get home for 3 days. So I only worked weekends, and I'd literally stay up for 2.5 days doing this. It was an addiction. I guess it's like the videos. I spend too much time doing them.
So were you okay?
But I don't do that anymore.
No.
And listen, such a grandiose waste of time.
No, but it's like, since you're out of the game, I feel like asking, like, was there a period of time where there was a specific thing that was unbelievably popular that you were basically distributing to
games?
Like, just mostly games. Like, that was mostly
games.
Like, the most popular
I
thing?
never paid for any games. There are. What's the one? I like the strategy games. I like Dune. And what's the other ones? They're still alive. I don't know what
Civilization, like. Age of Empires. There's a lot of stuff like that.
Oh, so, yeah. I played all those. Yeah, we didn't have internet. Was in its infancy then. So me and my buddy, we would play head to head, but we would, because we all had like 3 phones, because this was dial-up day. We had these were BBS systems. We didn't have the internet. It's the Usenet was kind of morphed from the BBS, the pirate BBS system, and that's the Usenet. You probably don't know. You may not even know what the Usenet is. Do you?
Yes,
it's a message base where you can put attachments on it, and that's if you want to watch a movie.
Not firsthand, just from studying.
Oh yeah, the Usenet was for lamers. If you're lame, if you got your stuff from the Usenet, because that's the last place that the couriers ever put it.
Sure.
You just go to these pirate sites because you had to like get cleared and stuff. Make sure you're with the FBI.
Right.
Because the FBI was always like behind the 8 ball trying to figure. It all started in the IRC. IRC was real big. The internet chat really became popular during the Iraq War. The first Iraq War. Yeah.
So I guess
that's like, very fascinating to me.
No, it's very fascinating to me. So, I mean, so I'm guessing you were pretty involved in IRC for a long time.
Initially, that's where I got started.
Well, so that tracks to me, because I can draw a line from IRC days to where we are today with Discord and where we are with a lot of distribution networks and things. And it's like, I can see how we got from there to here. So it does not surprise me that you were into IRC, because that was really the genesis of a lot of
You're
this.
live chatting with someone else that could be on the other side of the world. Sure. I mean, what we're doing here to me is like magic. I'm like, wow. Right. I mean, there is no lag between me and you talking and stuff like that. Yeah. Just, to me, it's amazing.
Cool. Well, God, that is part of your background that I did not know. That's very cool. That's amazing. Well, this has been awesome. I would love to do this again at some point. Maybe in a couple hundred videos. I don't know. We'll see where you are.
See. I'll be a different person by then. We'll see what's happened to me. See, I don't want to make my videos worse. I got to be careful about changing them much. And then I haven't been talking to Shadow Joe lately, and I don't know if that's good or bad.
I was gonna leave you with that. It's like, I won't say, I don't know about the rest of your audience. I certainly miss the banter between Prime and Shadow.
Well, the reason that stopped, it had to do with timing, because that was, like I said in my videos, I work on different parts of the video, and that part of the video, initially, I was just guessing when it was time to talk. And then when to turn, and then I would edit it and stretch it I'd stretch it so you couldn't see the cuts, but there were cuts.
Wow. Okay. All right.
But now, so I like, there's got to be a better way.
Yeah.
And then, so now I'm kind of perfecting it. I've got this big wall timer up on the thing. This you do them like when you're doing weights and stuff like that. Yeah. And I have a remote control for it. Right here, my remote control for my stopwatch. And then when I get home from the video, first thing I'll do is I'll put it on my computer back there, and I'll caliper out how long from the time I say Sneakadoodle bite and then to the end, and I'll know it's like, and I'll write it up there 58 seconds with a couple notes of what I'm going to say, so I don't get up there and like and then I'll punch it. I'll hide it behind my spinning table like this, and I'll like Sneakadoodle bite number 3, and then get out of the way real quick. But there's that, and that's the reason I stopped doing that for a while until I wanted to get that timing perfect. Because what I used to do to make the cuts work was pick my last bite like that. Okay, now it's time to give it a score, and you take a bite, you flip to the next camera, and then you say your piece. That way, if I screwed up, I could fix it with a cut. Right. But I thought it looked cleaner if I dropped my food and said my little piece, turned around to the camera and started talking directly. So I was trying to get that perfected, and then I got to work back in with Shadow Joe. I mean, I almost did it on the Taco Bell video. I had it in my script what we were gonna talk about. We're gonna start making up a little bit. It's like, you never talk to me, and I was gonna say, you're the one with a problem. That's what was gonna happen, and you may see that. I don't know.
That's
but
exciting.
I want to start it back, but then I'm like, is it that popular? I've only had like 3 or 4 people say,
we got to get him
you
back
didn't
together.
talk to Shadow Joe. I mean, I said, we're not talking right now. He's being a dick.
Yeah, right. That's fair.
I don't cuss. I don't want to call him a dick on camera, but I also wanted to. I'm like, what a dick. Such an ass. So because you can sit there and berate yourself. I mean, not myself. We're 2 different people. Yeah, I've been admonished by my sister and my wife to never tell people that we're the same person. Of course, we're not.
You're not. No, you're not. Shadow and Prime, 2 separate entities.
Yeah, Shadow Joe. So that's a timing thing.
Hopefully, we'll see them make up at some point. I'd like to see it.
Yeah, so. I'm just trying to work up. I was going to do it on Taco Bell, but then I started like stressing out. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, don't stress yourself.
Because when do I, because you don't want to look stupid, and then I don't want to have to do the Sneakadoodle bite number 3 twice, or 3 times, or 4 times, or then people count the bites on those things.
I'm telling you,
they count the bites out of the food. Like you did Sneakadoodle. What did you get? Where'd that other bite go?
We're meticulous.
It's like when you remember when I used to say, when I would order 3, and I say, I need 3. And then as soon as I say, is there anything else? And I'd say, make it 4. Yeah. And then I would switch to a different camera and cut that out. And everybody'd say, how are you weighing those?
How are you weighing
a bite out of them? With taking a bite out of them. I'm like, dude, there's no way that I can weigh something with half eaten.
Yeah. No, it's funny. We are
doing it.
The internet is we watch stuff like the Zapruder film. I mean, we really do. It's just like God. we are meticulous, we are picky, we are
I made a typo on the sodium incredible. 3 videos back and someone saw it. It's like, wait a second, your sodium's wrong on there. I'm like, you mean you're actually watching that video and going to the website and comparing it? I cut and pasted it. I don't know how it got wrong. I must have bumped the keyboard or something. My sister didn't catch it.
That's incredible. Well, Joe, this has been a blast. Yeah. Is there anything you want to plug? Obviously, go to youtube.com/@JoeIsHungry. Please do that. But anything else you want to plug?
Yeah, no, really doing good. Yeah. I mean,
awesome.
TikTok was always up there to bring people to YouTube, but it's turned into an animal of itself. If you watch me on Instagram, I assume you actually put this on YouTube. I looked at it. Yeah, I looked at it. I had to figure out like, who's he? Because I don't watch a lot of stuff. I watch the political stuff and then mostly SpaceX stuff. I watch all the rocket launches.
Okay, that's good to know.
I'm tore up right now because the ship exploded and blew up the thing. I'm not happy about that. Yeah, Leon, he needs to get over there and like get that together because we need to see some good takeoffs. But no, not really. I just you asked me and I'm like, that sounds all right. And then I had that reporter from the local newspaper that says, hey, you want to do an interview for an article? I'm like,
we're coming out of the woodwork, Joe.
Call me up right now.
Yeah.
There's other people wanted me to join podcasts, and I like, okay, we'll do that in a week or so, and I always forget, and then they don't remind me.
You'll be on more of these. I bet you will.
They come in my Discord and ask me. My Discord, if you see my Discord, there's like nothing in it. I don't let them put. I don't. It's
There,
you know,
but it's popping off every single time I leave it.
I'm an IRC guy, right? So you notice that the normal text chat, I don't even let them put emojis in there because they keep flickering. They annoy me. So I'm a throwback from the 70s. Yeah. So that's why I have a different one for fan art memes. And you can only put stuff about Joe's Hungry and Cats. So if you put something up there, I got rid of all the guys.
That's it.
Yeah, the guys with porn stuff up there. Yeah, they would put porn up and they say, you need a moderator to get rid of your porn. Well, you were the jackass that put it on there to be a moderator. My sister's my moderator. She'll kick you out for sneezing. And once they kick you out, you ain't never coming back. I don't know how many people she's like banned from there.
Well, that's good to know.
I mean, not even good porn. I mean, it's just, I'm like, really? How old are you? Like 5?
Yeah, they're just trying to push your buttons. So, yeah, there we go.
I guess I like, I don't know. I talk to her once in a while. Anyway, you be good. I don't want to keep this going on. I think I got a little light outside because I need to pull up my squash plants because they got worms. So it's time to yank them out of the ground. I have a garden.
Well, thank you so much, Joe. Hey, folks, if you liked this, we do bonuses like this all the time, interviews with folks that we think are fascinating. Go to vgbs.com/join. You can join the Hive and get all of those bonuses. Thank you so much for joining me once again, Joe, on my 40th birthday, halfway to 80.
Happy birthday.
I won't thank you so much. Suck. Oh, no, you know what? That's all right. So thank
40,
you.
I don't even remember 40. It's been so long ago.
Yeah, it definitely feels like 4 decades to me. So
that was the midlife crisis days. I remember those.
I'm on my way, Joe. I am on my way.
Good luck with that.
Thank you so much. Man. All right. We will see y'all in a bit. See you later. Bye.
Peace out.